day for Killer Rats Week. What's up, everybody? Welcome to day 4 right here on the Killer Rats themed week. I am your host, Mood616, and thank you once again for joining me here. Yeah, so obviously today there's another rat film in question, and the one that I went with today was a film from 2001. It has an alternate name of Altered Species. I believe that's what this movie's called in the UK. And the American name of this one is Rodentz. Yeah, so we'll get right into the plot of this one. It starts out with, two guys working in a lab, a professor and like a professor's assistant. And what they're doing is they're basically testing a new formula that the professor's come up with. It's a formula that they're testing on rats to try and cure, rebuilding cells, and it's a type of agent to kill cancer cells and rejuvenate other cells and stuff. So what they're doing is they're testing out this fucking, they call it like a green goo or something like that, this green formula on these rats, and of course, the assistant ends up spilling a little bit of this green goo, or formula, whatever they want to fucking call it. And it spills down the drain, and of course it drips into the basement of the facility that they're working in. There is some rats down there that ingest this green formula, and so they basically become infected, because what had happened was the professor was working on this formula, and he kind of tried to spice it up a little bit, to get better results. And of course the spiced up formula is the one that dripped in the basement, and these rats started, feeding on this. Meanwhile, back in the lab, the assistant, he actually got to inject one of the rats with this new formula. He actually injected a bunch of the rats that were in the lab with this new formula, and they started acting really fucking crazy. They started going nuts, basically all at the same time. It was kind of like a time thing. And so they think that's really weird. They have no idea what the fuck that was all about. So meanwhile, it's later on in the night, and the assistant, the lab assistants, the younger guy, his friends show up to come pick him up to go to this party and shit like that. And upon arrival, he goes back into the lab, and basically what he sees is that the rats have broken out of their cages, and now he starts to freak out. He's like, "Well, fuck, man!" He goes, "I can't leave the facility until I gather up these rats, and find these rats so they don't destroy the fucking place." But little does he know that they are all infected with this shit, and they've gotten really aggressive. They started killing off people. They killed the janitor. They killed the professor. And, they're hunting in groups, mass groups, and they're just fucking tearing apart everything that they can get their teeth on. Little do they know that's the least of their problems, because one of the rats has grown about 50 times the size of a normal rat, and it's basically the size of a human now, and it is like the main destroyer. I'll leave the plot there. I mean, you can pretty much figure out the rest of the film. So my thoughts on this one. First of all, it's very low budget. At first I was, the acting was kind of throwing me off a little bit. Kind of felt like a TV movie at times. I was like, But, I was enjoying it because they were using real rats, with the exception of the odd CGI'd kind of part in it. They would have the real live rats roaming around, and then also they would just have like a CGI part where the rats are like, running around a corner or something like that. They would just throw in like the CGI, and it was totally out of fucking place in the movie. It didn't really fit at all. But there's definitely more real rat action in this film than anything. Even with the rat attacks on the people and shit like that, it was done okay. It's not overly gory. There is some gory parts. There's a really fucking pretty sweet scene where one of the girls that shows up at this facility, she's kind of the slut of the group, she gets her fucking face just totally torn apart. I thought that was pretty cool. But, the gore is minor in this. The kills aren't that great. And most of them happen from, the hundreds of little rats. Of course, the big showdown at the end of the movie is with this huge-ass rat, which, they did CGI parts when, there's a part where the rat jumps on this car. They CGI that looked pretty fucking poor. But basically the whole end of this movie is very laughable. It's like this huge-ass rat that's walking on 2 feet and fucking just gnarling up the fucking place. Yeah, it's okay, No, I shouldn't even say it's okay. This movie's actually pretty piss poor. I was going to say it's pretty average, but no, now when I really do think about it, this movie does pretty much suck. I was just let down by the kills. Like, I thought that portion of the film could have been done a lot better. Now, the characters themselves was one of the things that really fucking annoyed me about this film. The characters, the group of friends that show up in the, that arrive together don't really seem like they have any chemistry, or they don't seem like they're even real friends. They all seem to kind of dislike each other, which is kind of annoying because, what kind of people hang out that don't fucking like each other? And you got some of the most stereotypical characters. You got like the jock, you got the fucking dorky dude, you got, the slut, you got the normal girl. Yeah, and, they're all cliched characters, which is kind of a shame because nobody fucking cares about any of them. You don't even care really about, even the lab assistant. I can't remember what his name is right now, but, whatever. He's normal. You don't really give two shits about him. I gotta say, how they destroy the rats in this movie is just out-fucking-rageous. I know it had something to do with something that they put into the formula that made their hearing very sensitive. I'll leave it there if you do want to actually check this one out. But it is very laughable, I gotta say. It fucking made me laugh quite a bit, so. But yeah, so, overall, pretty piss poor. I thought it was pretty shitty. Fuck. If I had to rate this one, I'd probably give it maybe a 4 out of 10. I'm going to give it a couple points for the gnarling off the slutty bitch's face. I thought that was pretty cool. And there was a pretty cool sequence with an arm getting ripped off. I thought it was pretty neat. And the oversized rat was just pure laughable, so it gets a point in my books for that. But, just everything about the movie was kind of poorly done. I thought this movie could have been shorter. It runs 90 minutes. It definitely probably could have been about 20 minutes shorter, really. Which is fucking terrible, because 90 minutes is pretty standard for a film, but, I don't know, man, I'll leave it there. Rodentz, I don't know, pretty shitty. So day 4, yeah, Rodentz from 2001. If you want to check it out, I'm sure you can find this one for really cheap, because it's not really worth more than a penny. Hide the cheese. Yeah, just a terrible tagline. Awful. But it's very fitting to the shitty movie. Anyways, I'm rambling on here. Alright, peoples, I'll be back tomorrow with another rat film for day 5. Hope you're enjoying the week. Leave comments if you've seen any of the movies so far this week, including this one. Peace out, homies.